All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Charlie, and I'm here to share one of my favorite children's books with you. As you can see, it's called Rules. And I read this for the first time a couple of years ago with a fifth grade class. But this is a good book for second and third graders who might want to challenge themselves a little bit with a little bit higher level book. And it's a really good story. And it's about a young boy named David and all the rules that he has to follow. But you learn a little something about David and his siblings and his friends along the way. And as you can see, this book is called Rules. And to start, I'm going to read on the back of every book, you'll get a little blurb about what the story is. So you can read that and figure out if you want to pick up this book and read it. So let me start with that so you know basically what it's about. Okay? 12-year-old Catherine just wants a normal life, which is near impossible when you have a brother with autism and a family that revolves around his disability. She has spent years trying to teach David the rules from a peach is not a funny-looking apple, or keep your pants on in public in order to head off David's embarrassing behaviors. But the summer Catherine meets Jason, a surprising new sort of friend, and Christy, the potential next-door friend she's always wished for, it's her own shocking behavior that turns everything upside down and forces her to ask, what is normal? So that's an overview of the book. So let's get started. First page, it's called the title page, right? Here's the acknowledgments. You can see I've read this book a lot because it's all beat up and chewed up. Okay, and here's the first page, and this is the overview of the rules for David, so we'll start with those. Chew with your mouth closed. Say thank you when someone gives you a present, even if you don't like it. If someone says hi, you say hi back. When you want to get out of answering something, distract the questioner with another question. Not everything worth keeping has to be useful, like my little duck here. If the bathroom door is closed, knock, especially if Catherine has a friend over. Sometimes people laugh when they like you, but sometimes they laugh to hurt you. And the last rule is no toys in the fish tank. Okay. Chapter 1, follow the rules. Come on, David. I let go of his sleeve, afraid I'll rip it. When he was little, I could pull my brother behind me if he didn't want to do something, but now David's 8 and too strong to be pulled. Opening the front door, I sigh. My first day of summer vacation is nothing like I dreamed. I had imagined today warm, with seagulls winging across a blue sky, not overcast and damp. Still, I refused to grab my jacket from the peg inside the front door. Umbrella? David asks, a far-off stare in his brown eyes. David, it's not raining, come on. Mom said go to the car. But David doesn't move. I get his favorite red umbrella. Okay, let's go. I step onto the front porch and slide the umbrella into my backpack with my sketchbook and colored pencils. David says, let's go to the video store. But he's still not moving. You're going to the clinic, but if you do a good job, Dad will take you to the video store when he comes home. The video store is David's favorite place. Better than the circus, the fair, or even the beach. Dad always invites me to come too, but I say no thanks. David has to watch all the previews on the store TVs and walk down each row of videos, flipping boxes over to read the parental advisory and the rating, even on videos Dad would never let him rent. David will say, loud enough for the whole store to hear, rated PG-13 for language and some violence, crude humor. He'll keep reaching for boxes and flipping them over, not even seeing the books people give us, the looks, excuse me. But the hardest part is when David kneels in the aisle to see the back of a video box a complete stranger is holding in his hand. Dad says, no one cares, Catherine, don't be so sensitive. But he's wrong, people do care. Beside me, David checks his watch. I'll pick you up at 5 o'clock. Well, maybe 5 o'clock, I say. Sometimes Dad's late. David shrieks, 5 o'clock! Shh. I scan the yards around us to see if anyone heard, and my stomach flips. A moving van is parked in front of the house next door, back wide open, half full of chairs and boxes. From inside the truck, 2 men appear, carrying a couch between them. My hands tremble trying to unzip my backpack. Come on, David, Mom said go to the car. David stands with his sneaker toes on the top step like it's a diving board, and he's choosing whether to jump. 5 o'clock, he says. The right answer would be maybe, but David only wants surefire answers. Yes and no, and Wednesday at 2 o'clock, but never maybe, or it depends, or worst of all, I don't know. Next door, the movers set the couch on the driveway. If I hurry, I can ask them before they head into the house. Okay, David, I say, Dad will pick you up at 5 o'clock. That's the rule. David leaps down the steps just as the moving men climb into the van. He might not understand some things, but David loves rules. I know I'm setting up a problem for later because Dad's always late, but I have rules too, and one of mine is sometimes you've got to work with what you've got. I take David's elbow to hurry him. Let's go past the fence and talk to those men. A little spring mud remains under the pine trees near the fence. Only a month ago, puddles were everywhere when Mrs. Bauman called me over to say her house had been sold to a woman with a 12-year-old daughter. I knew you'd be pleased, she said. I told the realtor I have a girl just that age living next door, and maybe they can be friends. A few weeks later, I stood on my porch waving as Mrs. Bauman's son drove her away to her new apartment attached to his house. It feels wrong that Mrs. Bauman's not living in the gray shingled house next door anymore, and her porch looks empty without her rocking chairs. But I'm tingly with hopes too. I've always wanted a friend in my neighborhood, and a next door friend would be best of all. Usually in summer, I do lots of things by myself because my best friend Melissa spends the whole vacation in California with her dad. This year will be different though. The girl next door and I can do all my favorite summer things together, swimming at the pool, watching TV, and riding bikes. We could even send midnight messages from our windows using flashlights and Morse code, like next door friends do in books. And the best part, David won't have to come since Mom won't have to drive me and pick me up. I bite my teeth together, fighting the memory of my last sleepover at Melissa's. When Mom came to pick me up, David raced around Melissa's kitchen, opening doors, looking for their cellar, even when Mom kept telling him this was a trailer and trailers don't have cellars. Real friends understand, Mom said on the ride home. But here's what I understand. Sometimes everyone gets invited except us, and it's because of David. Walking toward the van, I study the moving men. One has a blotchy face and looks all business. The younger one wears a half smile and a dirty t-shirt and jeans. T-shirt man seems friendlier. Remember the rule, I whisper, my hand pushing David's back to hurry him. If someone says hi, you say hi back. Down the walkway, I run through conversation possibilities in my head, but that one rule should be enough. There's only one question I need to ask, then I can take David right to the car. Hi, I call, reaching the corner of the fence. David flickers his fingers up and down like he's playing a piano in the air. T-shirt man turns around. Do you know when the family's coming? Is it today? He looks to the other man in the van. One of the Petersons coming. Then David yells, if someone says hi, you say hi back. That's the rule. Both men stare past me with that familiar look. The wrinkled forehead look that means, what's wrong with this kid? I grab David's hands to stop his fingers. They're coming at 5 o'clock, the mover said. That's what she said. 5 o'clock, David yelled. My wrist kills from being curled backward. I grip my toes and my sneakers to hide the pain. Thanks, I pretend I can see my watch. Wow, look at the time. Gotta go. Chasing David to the car, I hear heavy footsteps on the van's metal ramp behind me. Dunk, dunk. David covers his ears with his hands. It's 5 o'clock. Let's go to the video store. My own hands squeeze to fists. Sometimes I wish someone would invent a pill so David would wake up one morning without autism, like someone waking from a long coma, And he'd say, geez, Catherine, where have I been? And he'd be a regular brother like Melissa has, a brother who'd give back as much as he took, who I could joke with, even fight with, someone I could yell at and he'd yell back, and we'd keep going and going until we both yelled ourselves out. But there's no pill, and our quarrels fray instead of not, always ending in him crying and me sorry for hurting him over something he can't help. I opened the car door and told him, here's another rule. If you want to get away from someone, you can check your watch and say, sorry, gotta go. It doesn't always work, but sometimes it does. Sorry, gotta go? David asked, climbing into the car. That's right, I'll add it to your rules. The men carry a mattress, still in plastic, up the walkway next door. Someday soon, I'm going to take a plate of cookies up those steps and ring the doorbell. And if the girl next door doesn't have a flashlight, I'll buy her one that turns on and off easily. Mom says I have to deal with what is, and not to get my hopes up, but how else can hopes go but up? Wear your seatbelt in the car, David states. That's the rule. You're right, David. I click the seatbelt across me and open my sketchbook to the back pages. That's where I keep all the rules I'm teaching David. So if my someday he'll wake up a regular brother wish doesn't ever come true, at least he'll know how the world works, and I won't have to keep explaining things. Some of the rules in my collection are easy and always. Say excuse me after you burp. Don't stand in front of the TV when other people are watching it. Flush. But more complicated, sometimes rules. You can yell on the playground, but not during dinner. A boy can take his shirt off to swim, but not his shorts. It's fine to hug mom, but not the clerk at the video store. And a few more are hints, and a few are more hints than rules, but matter just as much. Sometimes people don't answer because they didn't hear you. Other times it's because they didn't want to hear you. Most kids don't even consider these rules. Sometime when they were little, their mom and dad must have explained it all, but I don't remember mine doing that. It seems I've always known these things. Not David, though. He needs to be taught everything. Everything from the fact that a peach is not a funny-looking apple to how having long hair doesn't make someone a girl. I add to my list, if you want to get away from someone, check your watch and say, sorry, gotta go. It's Mom! Let's go to the video store, David yells. She's on the porch locking our front door. I'll get in trouble if Mom finds out I let him think the wrong thing. I'm depending on you, Catherine, she'll say. How will he learn to be independent if everyone lets him behave and speak the wrong way? I look over at David and tell him, you're going to occupational therapy at the clinic. He frowns. Let's go to the video store. David may not have the sorry gotta go rule down, but he's got this one perfect. If you say something over and over, maybe they'll give in to shut you up. You're going to OT, I say. Maybe, and maybe is all it takes. David twists toward me as far as the seatbelt allows, his eyes flashing. I cover David's mouth with my hand so the movers don't hear him scream. And that is the end of chapter 1. And you can pick it up from there. Chapter 2, don't run down the clinic hallway. That's the next rule. Hope you enjoyed it. This is Rules.